Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Zenat again from DICE Analytics to welcome you all for the third round of DICE Webinar Series 2021, Path to Become a Data Scientist. I'm really glad to announce that our speaker for today is Mr. Umair Arshad and Ms. Sadaf Naz. Ms. Sadaf has been associated with the industry for 6+ years now. Currently, she's working as a data scientist at Etisalat. She holds expertise in leveraging advanced machine learning concepts within industries like CGP, retail, and telecom. And Mr. Umair has been associated with the field of business intelligence, data analytics, and data science since 7 years. He worked at Telenor as data science specialist and was involved in projects like trend prediction, recommendation engine, and customer segmentation model for different Telenor digital projects. Currently, he's also working as a data scientist at Etisalat. Today, you can discuss all your queries with Mr. Umair and Ms. Sadaf regarding data science, roadmap to become a successful data scientist, and whatever queries you have in your mind to kickstart your career in the field of data science. I would request all the attendees to list down your queries during the session and to discuss them in the Q&A session at the end. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's all from me. Over to Mr. Umair and Ms. Sadaf.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to welcome you all in DICE Analytic webinar session. So, as you know, guys know that today's topic of our webinar is Path to Become Data Scientist. So, before we further proceed our webinar, I'd like to give my brief introduction. So, my name is Umair Arshad. And if we talk about my professional experience, then I have around 8 years of experience in the field of data analytics, business intelligence, ad hoc reporting, and currently I'm working as a data scientist in Etisalat, UAE. So I've been also be a part of Telenor, Pakistan, where I'm working as a data scientist in contextual marketing domain. So, and our job here is to build the recommendation engines, target the right audience to at the right time for the right offer. So that's what we do in the Telenor, using the different machine learning techniques, supervised and unsupervised techniques, machine learning techniques. So I've also associated with the company name Elixir Technologies. So here my job is to build basically the central repository for companies' data and to present the insight information by using the interactive tool, right? So I actually worked here in a Tableau. So by doing all this stuff, I managed to, you can say, change their conventional decision-making skills to a data-driven decision-making power, right? So my main skills that I believe I have is like in the domain of data science, Tableau, and CVM, which we call customer value management. So that's the brief introduction that I have. So now I'm basically conducting this session with my colleague and a co-host, which is Sadaf Naz. So Sadaf, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone. Welcome you for the webinar. I have an experience of close to 6 years in the data science field. I've been working with multiple companies in India. I've been associated with Genpact, SmartCube, TCS, and now it's in Etisalat. I have experience primarily into retail, CPG, and telecom, wherein we leverage a lot of machine learning algorithms to come to a business stakeholders help, like by developing certain algorithms. We help them take better decisions, which help them improve their profits, revenues. And I have my qualification background in economics from Jamia Millia Islamia, that is India. That's pretty much from my end. I would like to know about the audience, what background they have basically, and a little around your background and all would be very helpful for both of us to understand and make the session more interactive.
Yeah, so as Sadaf says, before we proceed into our main topic, we would like to have a brief introduction about yourself and what's your expectations regarding this webinar, so that we got to know your expectations, your background, and we'll be in the same page to explain the stuff. that can be understandable for you. So what we can do is like I can call the random name. So you just need to introduce yourself and tell us the expectations you have from this webinar, right? So first, I'll like to request Abdullah Javed to kindly to have a brief introduction about yourself and what's the expectations. Ji, Abdullah, can we have your introduction?
You there? Seems like he's not interested in talking.
No worries. So should we move to next participant, Abdullah Sharif?
I think the
Abdul
speaker
Sharif,
is disabled for the, that's what somebody is pinging. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji, walaikum
Walaikum assalam.
I am
Yeah,
Abdul. I am associated from CA profession, and lately I have been exploring data science and data analytics field. And my expectation from this webinar is to identify the difference between the data scientist and data analytics. I usually get confused between these two positions as they have, and when I discovered that, I found that there are no clear boundaries between these two roles. So I just want to make myself clear that what are the particular role and responsibilities for a data scientist and a data analytics.
Right. So Abdul, we definitely go deep into these topics while dealing over webinar. But if I can give you a main difference between data analytics and data scientists, like data scientists more they deal with the predictive analysis, like machine learning by predicting the future events, right? And if we talk about the data analytics, it's more towards descriptive analysis. So if you want to predict the future, you'll have a field of data science, right? And if you want to have a get to know what has happened, that's going to be in the field of data analytics. So Salar, do you want to comment on this?
Yeah, a little I'll tell you right now, maybe then later we have a better clarity on this. Basically, when you're a data scientist, you get the ability, you get that power to make decisions. Whereas when you are a data analyst, you can help indirectly somebody in by generating insights and all, that this could be possible, this could be done, but then you don't have exact power of making decisions while taking any decisions like whether you should roll out this plan, roll out this campaign or not. But as a data scientist, you have that much privilege. You can take that decision. You can go tell the management, yes, you should go ahead and roll out this plan, maybe the campaign or whatever it is.
Right. So should we move to next participants? Abdullah Tariq.
I think, Umar, you have to unmute them also at the same time, seems like.
Yeah, I'm actually asked them to unmute.
Okay, perfect.
Right. No worries. So we move to next participant.
Yeah, Tariq, you can type. He's asking, can you type? You're more than welcome to type. Please go ahead. Yeah. Meanwhile, we pick somebody else. Let's pick Aisha.
Yeah, Aisha Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aisha, you are on mute.
All right, we can move on to the next person, I suppose.
Sure. So, Hassan Ali, would you like to give your introduction and your brief background? Just for our understanding and over, you can say like,
sorry,
get to know. Yeah, please.
Did you say Hassan Ali?
Yeah, Hassan Ali.
Yeah. Well, I actually come from an engineering background, and I've been over the last couple of years. It's been, I would say, a bit of a transition into data science as a full-time career. So right now I'm working for Lendlease. It's like a construction company where we are developing a product which does basically like a digital twin. So you've got the cost planning, you've got all the engineering analysis, everything coming into one place, into one platform, and then analyzing the data to come up with the best, most optimized design, based on the finances, based on the structure, based on pretty much everything. So yeah, that's just pretty much of my background. And why am I attending this webinar? Well, I'm just, I just like to hear other people's stories, how they are transitioning or how they are planning to transition into data science. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right, that sounds very exciting, Hazan, the project you explain the work you do. So we're looking forward that you're gonna learn something from us on today's webinar.
Yeah, cool.
So, Javed Iqbal.
Akib Hussain has raised a hand, so I think he wants to introduce himself.
Yeah, sure. So that would be great. Like if anyone wants to introduce themselves, then you can just raise your hand. So that we just unmute your mic and you can introduce yourself. So yeah, that's a good approach.
Mary, can you
Ak-
unmute the
Akib,
mic of
yeah.
Akib?
Yeah, I'm doing it. Akib Hussain, yeah.
All right.
Meanwhile, I see there's a question from Mariam,
Yes.
which says she's done her master's in an IT and have 6 months of experience in front-end development. Now she wants to change to data science.
Okay. So what we can do is like I can believe we'll start our formal session. So in between, anyone have a question could ask question in the chat, or you can say like unmute the mic and ask the question, right? So that would be more interactive.
All right, ma'am. You can continue
Yeah.
with the webinar.
Akib, you want to say something?
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji, wa alaikum.
Sir, I am fresh graduate from Pakistan, and I have not a deep knowledge of as data scientist, but I want to aware myself about the data, how the big data work in the different kind of computer fields,
Right.
And also I want to aware myself how these different kind of machine learning algorithms are working with big data and generates the better predicted results for the different solutions.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right, Akib. Thank you. Thank you. We'll definitely answer this question while delivering a webinar.
Omer, can you unmute Rohit and Aves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first time I actually go with the persons who actually raise their hands. So Mohammed Hamza. So you can introduce yourself. Okay. Faizan Alam.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, I want to ask something about myself. I am done my master's in 2012, 9 years ago, in Master in Economics and Finance. Now I want to move to career to data analyst and data scientist. So what should the part to choose this career, data scientist? Because I have a exposure of accounting and finance, and the large experience I have almost 7 years experience of accounting.
Right.
So,
Right. So you did your master's in accounting?
Yes, economics and finance, not accounting. Economics and
Oh,
finance.
you are from an economics background.
Yes.
What you've been doing till now, I mean, what are you basically working on as of now?
I'm working in financial reporting department and a
Mhm.
private company. So
Okay.
now I want to move to my career to data scientist, and I want to become a data scientist.
Should not be
So
that
what's the-
difficult for you, since you have your backgrounds in economics. You would be pretty aware about statistics also.
Yes, obviously.
I'm not sure whether you've studied econometrics, a subject called econometrics.
At that
Maybe
time, I have some macro. Yes, econometrics at that time, but it's 9 years ago, so I don't I remember all the topics.
That's okay.
Which
That's
I have
perfectly
studied.
fine. So basically, data science is nothing but the amalgamation of your science, maths, statistics, everything all together club and makes a field called data science, which is booming these days. So we will help you out. Meanwhile, when we present, I think we'll be better. You will also get a better clarity, and we'll also be in a better position to tell you where you can exactly start from.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure it must be
Yes.
easy for you, since you already have a background from that field. Even though it's been a while, but still your basics would be there with you.
Okay.
So Sadaf, I believe let's take our last questions from Rohit, and after that we'll start our forum session, right? So Rohit,
Yeah.
could you please introduce yourself?
Hello.
Yeah, Rohit, we can hear you.
My name is Rohit Barua. I am currently in second year engineering. So about why I want to become data scientist, it came in from childhood. I have realized myself as I have a great potential in entrepreneur. So after I also found my passion in mathematics. So when I heard of data science, my brother told me the data science will be doing, when I was in class 8, my brother told me that data science is a field where you can build your where you can grow your entrepreneur skills. And it will be the success jobs in upcoming 10 years. So that time it catch my eyes. Then I had a passion in mathematics. Then after some time in class 10, I found a passion in coding also. Then
Right.
after this, I found myself that I can predict anything by making ML model. Then in my first year, I completed my basics in I completed Python, I completed ML, but I have a aim of achieving data scientist job, but still I am facing a lot of I'm facing a loss of mentor. I am not able to find a proper guidance about this. Then how to make a resume of data science, as my friends are all are in the hurry of becoming a software engineer. So I am not able to find.
So sure, Amit, Rohit, that's what we actually trying to explain here in this webinar. So you'll definitely got to learn a basic, like how from which particular step you need to start to be enrolled in this particular career. So thank you for introduction.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So before we move into our main topic, which is like part to become data scientist, so I believe it's very important to get some motivation from you guys. Like, why become a data scientist is so important in these in current time. So I did some research here. So you might know, many of you might know the website of Glassdoor. So Glassdoor, you can say that Glassdoor is like IMDb or like Cricinfo for the job statistics. So Glassdoor, what they actually do is they keep track of job statistics. Apart from that, they have a huge amount of data ranging from the amount of jobs available in the market, salaries, trend of the job in particular regions, work-life balance, rating about the companies, about the CEO. So what they actually do is they actually took this data, and on the basis of credit scoring, they are actually rating top jobs in the America or in the different regions. And you can see in 2019, data scientist has been ranked as the first or #1 job. So similarly, in 2021, so data scientists become second most important or sexiest job, as you say, in the America. So these give you some perspective on how important and how much in demand a data scientist currently in, right? So I also give you some reference link here in the below slide, so you can also get the reference from this particular link. But this is the best trend that you can get from the Glassdoor. So by taking this conversation further move forward, so this is the data we got from the Indeed. So Indeed again is like biggest job portal, one of the biggest job portals in the world. And here you see the demand and the jobs for a data scientist since 2012 has kept increasing. And one of the main reason of that is because the huge amount of data that different apps and different services are producing. So that's definitely need a lot of data scientists who can process the data, who can understand the data, and to make the different machine learning models and predictive analysis. Right? So if we talk about this field, so these are the most popular backgrounds that people have before they become a data scientist. Most of them, unfortunately, no, not me, but Sadaf can comment on this because Sadaf is a statistician, he's have degree in economics and statistics, are basically belongs from the mathematics and statistics background, right? And then people like me, like I'm a computer science graduate, I have a degree. I have a degree in computer science, so I moved in this particular field by having this background. So apart from that, basically, what I do is I rank different most common tools that these professionals are most likely use. So for example, most of the mathematician guys are more comfortable in doing data science project in our language, right? And if we talk about the engineering background and computer science background, so actually we people are more comfortable in doing data science projects and data manipulation, exploratory data analysis in Python, because it's very much similar what we learned in our bachelor's degree. Like it's a object-oriented programming. So Python will actually allow you to do object-oriented programming, right? So do you want to comment here? Like you have a background.
Yeah, so I'll add on a little on this. So these are primary domain backgrounds wherein people come from in data science. But in the end, if you want to be a data scientist and you're from none of this background, it's not a big deal. It's no rocket science. You can learn. Anybody can learn. So it's not that if you've not done these backgrounds, oh, I can't be a data scientist. It's nothing like that. Anybody can be a data scientist, just that you have the aspirations within you. It's an added advantage if you are from these backgrounds, but even if you are not, there is no big hurdle in making you become a data scientist in future if you aspire to be.
Yeah, because if we talk about in our community on networking, so many of the data scientists are from very diverse background. So I know a data scientist having a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, right? So it's not about like if you don't have a computer science background, or if you don't have a statistics background, so you can't proceed this career. Like you just need to put extra bit of effort. You just need to fill the gaps, and once you have this particular knowledge, you definitely proceed this career in your life. So the reason of having the two presenters or two co-hosts in this webinar is because like we both have different background and we are doing the same stuff for the same company. So for example, I'm having a degree of computer science, right? And Sadaf having a degree of statistics. So if you want to understand the main pillars of data science, it's like computer science, knowledge of computer science, knowledge of math and statistics, and your domain knowledge, And the beauty of data science is like you can learn the computer science by doing different practices, by doing practice projects. Like for example, for me, it's very to understand these terms, like how to code, how to use SQL, how to use Python, because I have this particular background, right? But I don't have much knowledge on maths and statistics. What I actually do is, after having a bachelor's degree, I put a lot of effort in learning the statistics, because I have to fill the missing gaps that I have in my skills, right? Similarly, if I talk on the behalf of Sadaf have a background of statistics, right? She needs to learn. Yeah, Sadaf, you can continue.
So once you have statistics, all you need to do, you know what machine learning algorithms are, what your hypothesis is, what your probabilities are. So basically we work on all these. We design a hypothesis. I make an assumption, oh, this is going to happen. Say suppose A will buy a product B, and that's my hypothesis. Now I need to test that hypothesis. So you have all that basic understanding from your statistics. All you need to do is code in your whatever language you're using. You can be comfortable with R, Python, SAS, whatever it is. And then that's how it works. Because with data science, it's an amalgamation of all your maths, computer, business knowledge. Your business knowledge plays an important role. That comes with the experience or the practice that you do in that field. Basically, you could be what you use, the techniques that you use in different domains are same, just that how you interpret that business. For instance, a telecom has altogether a different KPIs to monitor. Your retail will have a different KPIs to monitor. So you need to understand business and then relate the maths, stats, computer science, coding, everything together, and then that's how it works.
Right. So if I give you another example, like here is the overlap. If you have a computer science degree or computer science knowledge, and you have a domain knowledge about the industry, about the company you're working for, you are a software developer, and that's the area in which I work after I graduate. So I have a knowledge of computer science, right? And I joined a company, and they give me a sufficient knowledge for the company, and they asked me, for example, to build a point of sale software. So what I actually need to do is I need to implement my computer science skills to solve the problem of a particular domain. That lies me in an area here, which is called software developer. Similarly, like for example, Sadaf having a background of math and statistics, right? And she goes to an industry, and she have the industry knowledge, and she was working as a traditional analyst. You can say data analyst. What she actually doing here was, like I'm just giving an example. So he's just having a data and applying different mathematical techniques to get the insight from the data. So that lies her in a position of traditional analyst or data analyst. So there's another domain here, which is called machine learning engineers. Machine learning engineers are the guy who are good in programming and who is good in math and statistics. So these are the people who are the machine learning engineers. So for example, if I talk about myself, I was software developer. So to become data scientist, I need to learn a lot about the math and statistics. So that's the sweet spot where you need to lie. You need to equally good in the computer science. You need to equally good on math and statistics and business knowledge. So the thing you need to understand here is you can learn data science by doing practice. You can learn maths and statistics by reading different books, different articles, doing practice. But we can't teach you, as anyone can't teach you business knowledge. That's the thing that you got to know with experience, right? So, for example, if someone is having a statistics background, okay, that person need to fill the missing gaps of getting the knowledge of computer science, IT, or programming. And that actually helps them to become in that particular sport, which is of data scientist. This is basically the main methodology, and this is called the KNIME methodology for data scientists. So many organizations, almost 80% organization, actually using this methodology to form a data science team. So how data science starts? It's not actually starts with the data. Okay, it starts with some question. So question could be anything. Like, for example, if we're working for a telecom communication company, my manager or my leader want to know like who gonna be the customer who gonna leave my network and join some another network. So that's the question that he want to answer. So in order to answer this particular question, first step or second step, all you need to do is to acquire the data to solve that problem, right? So for example, if there is a cricket match between a team A and team B, right? And you want to predict that who's gonna win that match. So for example, we have many audience between Pakistan and India right now. So for example, there's a match between India and Pakistan, and your objective here is to predict who's gonna win the match, Pakistan or India. So in order to make this prediction or this analysis, you need a lot of historical data from the matches that played Pakistan and India. So that phase is called data acquisition. So data acquisition is highly dependent upon the problem that you want to solve. Once you have acquired the data, you just need to have ETL or inject, which is extract, transform, and load. Because you might fetch for the given example, for example, in order to predict who's gonna win the match, you need some information you might need from ESPN, some information you got from the Crick Info. So you just need to have a standard format for these two particular data sources and need to have a standardized repository. So that's the step you do in the ETL. And once you have a data in a standardized format, next step you need to do is exploratory data analysis, and that's a very important step in data science. So many people, there's a misconception like people in the data science are only deals with the machine learning models or just implementing the machine learning models. But honestly, like Sadaf can say on this, like 80% of our time are actually spent in doing exploratory data analysis. In exploratory data analysis is like same task that data analytics guys do, because we actually find what has happened on the basis of data. For example, if in a certain situation that Pakistan won match, like what were the playground, how many players are playing, what were the average players, average speed of the bowlers. So we actually doing all the analysis, like on the out of all the matches that Pakistan won, how many are played in the home ground? Okay, how many are played on the third country? All the matches that Indian won, what's the opening partnership of their players? So all this stuff, all the exploratory data analysis stuff, we are actually doing here. And trying to find the correlation between dependent variable and independent variable. So here, dependent variable is like who's gonna win the match. And independent variable could be home ground, could be the average of players, or could be anything, right? So first step is like the same that data analytics guy do. So this is the second step, which basically different a data analytics guy from a data scientist. Here you actually try to implement the machine learning models. So what you actually need to do is, once you have the refined data, once you have the clear visibility about the variable who are actually trying to predict, who are actually contributing in distinct, you can say distinct independent variables, you'll take this data and pass to some machine learning algorithm. So you apply multiple algorithm, and then on the basis of that, whichever algorithm is actually performed well, you validate it with the unseen data. For example, I built a model on the basis of historical data. What I need to do is I need to make a prediction. So I make a prediction, for example, 10 matches, and these data is not being visible to my training model. So once we need to verify, so for example, it says like out of 10 matches, it correctly predict the 8 matches. So it says my accuracy of my model is like 80%, right? So this actually depend upon the problem to problem or business different industry level, like how many accuracy is efficient for particular industry or particular machine learning models. So that way actually get to know once you have working in the industry and once you know the business here. Once your model has been successfully achieved the current accuracy for the problem, you actually deploy it. What you need to do is like whenever there is a match between Pakistan and India, for example, you just need to run this model, give the recent data to the model on which the model has been built, and then it gives you the predictions. Okay, And the most important, and lastly, third point is like storytelling. So storytelling is very important here in the field of data science. So it's very technical field, but you need to understand your line managers, your technical managers, all the stuff you do in a very layman term, so that they can understand the worth of your product. So believe me, like I'm actually telling you on the basis of my experience, like you perform, if you put a lot of 100% effort in the step, 100% effort in step 2, and if you're not able to present your model, your work, nobody gonna use it. So you need to be a good storyteller to the audience or to your stakeholder. So do you have any comment on this?
No, man, I see somebody raising hands. It seems they have questions.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe it's, I think, Faizan, Rohit, and Akib. We have to unmute them, maybe.
Okay, sure. Okay, we start with
We go to the second slide. Yeah, the skills required. Let's take a question from them. Maybe they have something on what you've spoken on.
Right.
Sorry, sir, it's not me.
Okay, your hand was raised, so I thought it was you. Let's complete the slide. After that, we'll actually move to the question, right?
Yeah. So
this is, yeah.
So what we first basically do, what's required. So I come up with you with a problem I want to solve. I want to increase my profits. How do I do that? I have a product, I want to sell it. I want to increase the market. Maybe if I take a telecom company from XYZ reason wants to increase the number of customers in its base. Now that's the business problem they have. Now the domain knowledge that I would need is what product are they trying to increase their customer base for? What are their priorities? On what metrics are they going to evaluate? It's just a net increase in customers or increase in their revenue. How? And then once you've defined on your business objective, this is what I need to do. I want to increase my base. Now, the second step that comes is collect the raw data, which could be in SQL, MongoDBs, or Hadoop, or big data, depending on the size of the organization, depending on the size of basically it's on the organizational size, how much data do they deal in, you get the data. Then once you got the data, what we do is we process it. We see as per our sync, like how many users are currently there, how many are being churning out month on month, what are month on month additions, gross adds happening every month. This all, whenever we are processing the data, we can use any of the platform. Platform is your choice. It could be R, it could be Python, it could be SQL, it could be Hadoop, Hive, anything. As long as you are comfortable doing with Excel. If it's a small data size, you can do with Excel also. But generally Excel, we have huge data. Excel is not that compatible, but then anything apart from Excel works fine. Python, R, SAS, Spider, or Hadoop, your work, SQL works, anything works. Then once you have processed the data, what comes is you clean the data. There are a lot of missing values or outliers, something which is like not even possible. So suppose I have an age and you get an age somewhere in numbers like 400, 500. What does that even make sense? We clean all that data. And while you're cleaning, there are different techniques you apply for cleaning the data. Once you've cleaned the data, you draw inferences from that. You draw a hypothesis. Okay, I will see my new users versus my old users. What is the usage pattern between them? It could be the data usage. If it's a telecom industry, it could be a data usage. If it's a retail or a CPG, it could be spending. You can compare spending of a person who's been in system for 4 years versus who've been just for 4 months. Once we've done all the exploration, all the hypotheses we've tested on our own, that is where we come with the fine. Now this is a final base. This is how the data looks. We have X number of rows, Y number of columns. Now we will build a model on this. And it could be a supervised learning, unsupervised learning. So basically supervised learning is something wherein you tell, I want to predict the price of a product. Maybe I want to predict the price of a Colgate that they're planning to launch in market. So you have a Y you have a product that is dependent on certain XYZs. Now, price of your product will be dependent on the cost incurred, the advertisement cost, the competitor's price, all that things you take. So anything that has your by variable, which is dependent on something, is your supervised learning. And unsupervised is you don't have to predict anything basis of some events, some other factors. Unsupervised is you just classifying it. Maybe you're doing a segmentation exercise, like you have a base, full set of users, a universe. Now you want to segregate them into educated versus masters, postgraduates, graduates. Now, when you classify them, you use multiple algorithms, like could be clustering algorithms or classification, other algorithms for your unsupervised learning. Then you have in pandas, Python sklearn is your library wherein you get almost all your machine learning algorithms. Once your model is ready, you've done, tried, trained, tested, everything is done. Now you need to present that results. I cannot go give a model ka equation to somebody and say, this is what my model is saying. Somebody who has no knowledge about data science, it's useless for him. What is he going to understand from that? You have to translate that in a manner so that a layman can understand what your model says. What if I say my product price is dependent on its cost? Makes sense. On the advertisement cost, how do I tell? I need to show them whether it's positively impacting your price, it's negatively impacting, rather than just giving them the coefficients that I arrive from the model. So as Omer was mentioning, it is about once you've done everything, how you present yourself, basically how you are selling the product that you have. The more presentable you are, the better your chances of stakeholders buying your say. That's what I can say on this. Anybody has any questions on this before we move on to what could be the possible platforms you can go on?
So yeah, I guess we have.
Yes, I have one question about model.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Basically, I have not understanding that a thing, how many times we learn a model for a product.
Can you please be a little more explain? Can you say it a little more? Like, what do you mean product and model? Like, what are you trying to say? Can you be please little more?
I am trying to say that if we if we make a model for any kind of data, for any kind of domain, so I don't understand it. Is we make a model for this every time or one single time?
See, once you have developed a model, it lasts a little long. You can reuse that model. Say, suppose if I give you an example, I developed a model which says, will my person take a product or not? Now I have to keep validating that model. Once I get new data, I predict. Now, once I've done the prediction, I say 10 people will take. But in reality, only 8 people are taking. That is what says my model is 80% accurate. But now 6 months down the line, I'm using the same model with same old data patterns and same old variables. Now it is giving me 50% accuracy. So that says over the time, your model performance has decreased. Now it's time for me to revalidate my model, retrain the model on the new data. It's not that you have to do the retraining of the model every month, but generally it is advisable once in a quarter or twice in a year, you can revalidate the model.
I want to add some point here. Akib, that also depend upon the seasonality impact on your business for which you're trying to make a model. For example, you are trying to make you're making a model for the garment industry, right? So there's a seasonality impact here. So for example, you want to sell a jacket or sweaters. So you won't use this particular algorithm for the whole year. Whereas if you are using some algorithm for a domain whose business remain very constant throughout the year, right? So for that particular reason, it lies a bit longer, right? So that totally depends upon the dynamics of your business for which you are trying to make a model. Okay.
Okay, I understand. Thank you very much.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I have some questions.
Yeah, Faizan, please.
I want to ask something that you need to learn these skills and these tools, and you need to become data scientist. Degree is important, or certification is enough to learn these skills?
See, it can work either of the ways, but you should know either Python or R. Any one language you need to know so that you can process, you can work on the data. If I say you just take the certification, you go, you take the certification, but you don't know either of them, what will you do once you get the job? How
Well,
will you
most
work?
of the organizations advertise the jobs with the name of Masters in Computer Science or BS in Computer Science. So, what is your opinion about this?
See, that's especially for a fresher level. If you see, they do an opening, but once you are a seasoned expert, not your qualification, but your prior work experience, and then your knowledge of the subject, knowledge of your these softwares is a must for anybody who is trying to be a data scientist or already excelling in a data science field. They can better tell you that you need to know at least one software.
Yeah, I totally agree
So
what
will
Sarah said. Yeah, I just want to add
Please
a
go
little
ahead.
point here. Yeah, getting a job, having a degree will definitely help you to get a job, but at the entry level. So once you have experience, so that won't consider that much. That after that, what actually matter is the work you actually done in your past. Okay, the domain that you work for. So that definitely you learn using this particular tool and particular languages and skills that we actually going to introduce you in next slides.
Okay. So furthermore, will we need to learn these skills to expert level, or basic knowledge would be enough in the career? I mean to ask this: if you learn R language or Python language, so you
Right.
want to learn these languages to expert level, or if I talk about the Power BI or Tableau, so you need to you need to become an expert in these tools, or the basic knowledge would be enough?
Faizan, the thing is, you only become an expert once you enter into an industry and work on the actual data. So there is very, you can say, you can get the limited knowledge by taking the Coursera, Udemy courses, but you need to, I can say, to make your hands dirty by working in an actual data, actual environment. Okay.
See, you should know in the end. If I tell you, you have to find a mean, or I'm giving you a very basic hypothetical scenario. You have to find the mean. You should know how you will find. Then the size of the data will not be a problem. You should know your basics. Coding is never a problem. You have ample amount of websites providing you codes for any algorithm you need. All you need to know is what you have to do, how you have to do. Because once you're working, nobody can spoon feed you, okay, do a mean calculation or do an outlier treatment on that. If you know what you have to do, anything in terms of at least coding is not what you should be worrying about.
Okay, done. Got it.
Okay. So
Thank you.
for the starters, we basically recommend, and that's our, you can say, mine and Sadaf's own recommendation. Like it had nothing to do with some survey or what. Like that's our own learnings, that you should pick open source language to become a data scientist at a very entry level. So we actually won't recommend you to go directly into a SAS or MATLAB. Any, you can say, the BUI
For
software.
any aspiring person or any student, buying a license for SAS and MATLAB makes no sense. At least I have not seen anybody buying a license for SAS. It's an expensive software. Generally, your banking domain is where your SAS is used because of the privacy of the data. Otherwise,
Also, sorry. Yeah, please continue.
use any software which is free, which is an open source, because if it's an open source, you'll find enough material available on internet to study. And then you can any day download and start practicing. Why do you, just because you have to practice, why do you even have to pay for something? exorbitantly and then buy that license and then practice when you can do the same work for free. So it's, and comparatively, if you see whosoever been doing with Python, Python is a very simple language. The way you speak English is the same way you code in Python. And
Right.
Python and R are quite similar.
Right.
Our
So,
preference goes for Python because probably we've been working with Python for a long time, but then anything between both R and Python works fine.
So while working for R and Python, it just costs you a practice. You don't need to give a single penny while learning this tool. It's all open source. And one of the best thing about these two languages, like it's open source, so you can find a lot of help on internet whenever you're stuck in somewhere. So instead of working for, like, if you work for the SaaS on a SaaS tool, like there's very limited documentation, very limited resources who are able to work help you on these particular you can say issues if you're stuck there. And also, like in Python, there's a lot of manual things you need to do, which can be like drag and drop in SAS and MATLAB for MATLAB, for example. So first, you need to understand the basics, like how, for example, a data has been divided into a train and test set, how you can change the X and Y, for example, how you find a correlation. So first you need to learn this thing manually by doing the programming. Okay, so for example, in a software like SAS, it's just a drag and drop. It's just a black box. You can't have a clear visibility what has been implemented on the back end of the server on the data at the backside. Okay, so Python and R is actually provide you that flexibility to have a complete control on a data. Here's some very famous and important libraries that Python have. Okay, so while working for the Python, mark these libraries, and you need to be good on while working for these libraries. And different library had different functions and different expertise, like different tasks that you need to perform for specific library. For example, if I talk about the pandas, we use pandas for the exploratory purpose. So you can we say panda Excel of Python. So whatever you can do in an Excel, you can do in Python using the pandas, right? So NumPy is very fast while doing the computations or numerical numbers. So as you know, like while working for the data sciences, we need to deal with a lot of data. So NumPy is actually helping you a very high processing or very fast results when you're doing with the NumPy. So similarly, for visualization purpose, as we also we just told, like storytelling is very important in data science. Matplotlib, and there is another library called Seaborn. These two libraries which actually help you for the visualization, the graph purposes. So there's a special, you can say, your agent here, which can help you to perform certain tasks. Like for visualization, use Matplotlib. For the mathematical computation, you use NumPy. For the Excel, for example, pivoting, grouping, or making the joins, you use pandas. Okay, so different library had different functions which you need to use, and there's already function has been built on these libraries. You just need to call the function and pass the data. Rest tasks have been performed in the backend by these libraries. So for example, for the machine learning algorithms, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so all the algorithm has been present in the scikit-learn library. You just need to call this particular algorithm. Okay, just need to pass the data, and that algorithm will help will do the job for you. But the skills you need to have here is, like, you need to know for which particular data or which particular problem you have to use which algorithm. So that definitely you'll get to know with the experience. So second most demanding skills in interviews as well as for the daily jobs is SQL. So the best thing is SQL is like it's not very hard to learn. Okay, so how we where we use SQL, like, is the first step. Like whenever you need to fetch that data from the centralized repository, that whether it could be your data warehouse, or it could be your Hadoop, your Spark, you need a SQL script. You need to have a knowledge of SQL to fetch the data from the centralized repository. So there is a very important, very interactive website here, which is called SQL Zoo. Okay, so that make you help or make you learn the SQL in very convenient way. And this
There's
is
also,
Yeah.
sorry, Umair, go ahead, please.
Yeah, please carry on.
There's also a site called W3 Schools that can make you learn SQL, at least the basic SQL in 2 to 3 hours. Trust me, I've done that from there. I had no knowledge about SQL. I learned it from that particular website. Anybody who wants to make use of that website, more than welcome to do that. It's an amazing website. I think 3 hours would be all what you need to be a SQL, at least have SQL ka basic knowledge. That is enough for you.
Another reason to have a strong skills and strong command on SQL is because you have to ask a lot of questions in interviews. The interview asks you a lot of questions regarding SQLs, especially in the entry level job. So they definitely expect you to at least you have a very good knowledge of SQL queries and SQL language. Right. So here's some machine learning courses. Like one of our participants were actually asking this question, like is degrees enough, or we need to, or we can learn the data science from different courses or different, you can say, certifications. So here's some very good courses and documentations, which actually helped me a lot in learning this tool and this domain. One of the most, my favorite data scientist, Andrew Ng, like he has a course here on the Coursera. If you can afford, like if you can manage, you definitely need to take this course. Okay. And then there's a book of element statistical learning. It's a bit advanced book for the starters. Like it's very hard to understand. At least for me, I'm not sure. Like Sada having a statistic background, so it might be easy for her. But for me, like it's very hard, especially for you if you have a
you need to have the will in you to do it. It's easy. It's not rocket science. It's easy.
Right. And lastly, to understand the machine learning algorithms, like how you pass the data, how you can split that data into train and test, how you divide the data into dependent variable and independent variables. Like there's a complete documentation available on the net with the name of scikit-learn documentation. So for example, you need to implement a decision tree algorithm to your problem. You just need to type decision tree scikit-learn. It will tell you the object you need to call, library you need to call, and how you can pass the data and different data arguments. Okay, and with an example. So it's very convenient for the starters to to start practicing these skills.
Then we have something on statistics, more around the Bayesian statistics, basically that deals about a probability. What is probability? Is you are trying to predict something, you're trying to define certain degree of possibility of happening that event. So anything that deals with probability is your Bayesian statistics. And nowadays we work on the entire data science works on probabilities. We assign probabilities. Oh, the degree by which this event can happen, it has a probability of 90%, that has 60%. So how do you prioritize them? Basis the probabilities. So any sort of basic understandings you need to know. What is probability? How does it work? So there's a field called Bayesian statistics that should be good enough to give you a background about probabilities and how it is used in today's era. Then you have statistics for hackers. You can have a look around this. It tells you a little about what are major stats topics that have been used on day in day out basis. That can be helpful. Omer, can we move on to the next slide?
Yeah, that's a pure statistics concepts that you need to know for this domain. And
once you start with Bayesian statistics, here comes the probability distributions. So your data always follows some distribution. It could be a uniform distribution, which is a bell curve. Everybody, you have mean, mode, median, everything equal. Then you can have a binomial distribution. You can have a Bernoulli. Bernoulli is either 0 or 1. You can have a normal, gamma, beta. All this is a little high level, but yeah, once you go in, we generally, whenever you're dealing with linear data, you're doing normal, not a classification problem. You generally deal with a uniform normal distribution. And when you're doing with classification, it is basically binomial. It's by binomial, I mean 0 or 1. It's happening. The event is yes or a no. Will I get a credit card? Yes or no. Should I be given loan? Yes, no. I will take the SIM connection? Yes, no. So that's where your binomial comes into picture.
Right.
And you
And these
predicting
are
the price of a product is your normal distribution. You predicting price of Pepsi basis your 10 different variables. That follows a normal distribution. That's a linear relationship between your y and your x's. By x's, I mean the dependence which will define your y, that is the price. Omek, go
Yeah.
ahead. You were saying something.
And these are the two skills like statistics and the probability distribution, where statistics guy are very good at. So I even seek help from Sadaf whenever I got stuff stuck, because I don't have, I said, I don't have a statistic background. So statistics guys were actually very good with these understanding of data with the distribution of probabilities. So good to have a colleague having a statistic background if you're a data scientist.
Thank you. So how can you do data science? Not just by Googling, okay, I read this article, I can be a data scientist. No, actually go practice, do a project, do hands-on. That's how you can become a data scientist.
Definitely,
you have
need to have a
ample
lot of
amount of data available on internet. You can join Kaggle, you can join data analytics, data science, listen data, any of the website. You have ample data. You pick up the data, you see what project it is. There'll be projects which will tell you to predict the loan status, that tells you to forecast the match, or maybe recent days, since we have COVID so much in picture, there are a lot of projects online that are going on prediction of the occurrence of the second, third, also what's so waves of COVID, God knows how many more to come. So there are a lot of work going on that you can try do your hands on any of the data. Just pick the data, try developing the projects. But before you do the project, make sure you have a basic understanding of what needs to be done. If I tell you predict the churn, I tell you pick any product or any project on churn analysis, then you should know what do you mean by churn first of all. Which field are you going to pick? Will it be a telecom or a banking or a retail, like that?
Right. So we just will have one more slide, and after that we'll take a question. All right. So once you have the 5 skills like that we explained in the previous slides, and after that, even you have a basic understanding of these skills like we just taught you. After that, you are able or you are ready to jump into a Kaggle. Okay, so many starters are actually complaining that they don't have a data to practice. So this is a platform you need to notice, you need to note, okay? You need to start browsing. It is called Kaggle. So Kaggle is not like 100% platform which actually make you a good data scientist. By getting practice on this tool will make you a good machine learner, okay? And not all a data science. The reason is like the data that is given in a Kaggle are in a very formatted way. Like, and honestly, like I can tell you, like in real life, you have to deal with a lot of dirty data, nulls, incomplete data, wrong data. So it's our job as a data scientist to clean the data first, make the data in the proper shape, okay? Make that exploratory data analysis, and then use that data for the machine learning. So you can say Kaggle will able to help you to do 20% task, which is of machine learning, because we rate 80% before starting the machine learning task, which includes acquiring the data.
Scaring them, especially somebody who just wants to start with practicing. You're scaring them; they'll be scared.
No, yeah, but that's the fact. They should know. Like that's the fact. You should know that. But that's there is a lot of jobs who are actually giving you jobs on the basis of Kaggle profile, and definitely I would recommend you to have a Kaggle profile, participate on multiple projects, also see the work that other participants are doing. So one of the best thing of Kaggle is like you can see the others' work, others' notebook. Like, for example, you are dealing with some classification problem. You can see others work from all over the world, like how they are actually trying to solve that particular problem. Okay, so that's a great learning. So there's something that you are actually missing while working from a Kaggle. For example, asking the right question. Right. So there's a complete, very brief project description that has been given to you when you participate on a Kaggle project, and you need to understand that. And it's just one-way communication. They just give you the brief summary or brief problem statement, and you need to fetch the question from that particular statement. So you can't cross question, and you can't ask the right question to the stakeholders. So that's the limitation, I believe, that you might have while working for the data. Then we have decision regarding data sources. So decision regarding data sources means like which a particular algorithm you might need to use. Okay, so yeah, there's leverage. Like in Kaggle, you can use multiple algorithms, but it actually depends. For example, if you want some additional data sources, for example, your objective or threshold for having accuracy or particular model, for example, is 70%. You're trying to increase from 70 to 80. For that, you can't able to achieve from the given data. You need to acquire the more data from the stakeholders. So, but that won't be possible in Kaggle. You have to deal and you have to build the model with the available data you have, right? And then obviously the data wrangling and data wrangling work. So there's very much limitation while doing the work in the Kaggle for the same reason, for the limitation of the certain features. But I would definitely recommend, so once you have the 5 skills that we described in the previous slides, let's jump into the Kaggle, start doing practice project, and there's a lot of paid projects as well. So you can also, I can say, earn money by doing the data science task. So should we take question now, Sadaf?
We did have, I think, one more slide that will clear the airs about data scientists. No, not this one, I think. A little facts about data science. We do have something. Yeah. So to get jobs, you need to increase your networking. You can get in touch with your seniors, people on LinkedIn, follow the company that you are trying to apply for, get hold of people if at all you can through LinkedIn. Try talking to them, see what they've been working on. If they're kind enough, ask them if you have some doubts, they'll help you out. There are a lot of communities on your social media platforms as well as LinkedIn, which can help you actually get better understanding in terms of the project people are working on and the things that are in market, in trend in terms of data science projects. So that can help. And with networking, you can get jobs also. Any day networking is what helps you in getting jobs. You know, when somebody in some XYZ company, you ask him to help me apply in your company. You never know, you might get that job.
So before we move to the next slides, I believe, let's take a question for participants. So after that, we'll start over resuming remaining slides, okay? So we have a hand raised from Anam Salim. So yeah, Anam, you can ask a question, please.
Umair, sorry to interrupt you, but we do have questions in the Q&A section as well. So
All
you
right,
can take questions from there as well.
Sure.
Yeah, we do see a lot of questions. I answered a couple of them that I could, but let's start.
Sada, could you please read the question so that we can...
Yeah, a very good question. What is the scope of data science? From Hamza. I hope it is a little clear for you that what is the scope of data science. If not, then we can elaborate. Hamza, you're there?
Ji, Hamza.
I think Hamza has left.
Hamza Hussain?
No, Muhammad Hamza.
Okay.
Then we have Harun Naveed, who asked, I have a good command over custom development and have more than 8 years of experience. How can I quickly move to data scientist professional? The quicker you learn, the quicker you can move. It's all in your hands. We can only guide. You have something else to add, Umair?
That's the fact, Sadaf. Like, nothing to add here.
Then we have question from somebody, Shahir, from Shahir Shahzad. Will you guys be teaching mathematical knowledge needed for data? Not in this session. We are not teaching anything mathematical. We are just giving you a very brief about the libraries that you could use, nothing in detail, because this is not more around your knowledge, or it's a webinar about how you can be a data scientist, not what you do in data science.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
we'll
actually
have
a very
future
detailed
webinars.
topic.
Yeah, maybe we have future webinar series wherein we can give you more knowledge around the mathematical and the data science libraries. Yeah, then we have next question from Javed Asher that says, kindly demonstrate difference between data analytics and data science. Umair, you would like to take this question?
Yeah, that's the same question I guess someone asked in the introduction slide, like data analytics.
We had answered this question. Umar Chaudhary would like to answer the question. It seems like somebody was trying to answer. Do you want to answer, Umar?
For data analytics and data science?
There was some, not you, Umar. There was some Umar who was trying to answer the question I was asking you. Now, then there's a next question from Muhammad Iqbal.
So Muhammad Iqbal also raised the hand. So
yeah, we can unmute him and ask his question. He can ask the question.
So Muhammad Iqbal, you can ask the question. I think he's not comfortable like asking question on
okay, so Muhammad Iqbal says how to get entry-level job in data science after deciding to transition. What is the success criteria? GitHub, Kaggle, Medium, or something else? The more you have, the better it is. GitHub, Kaggle, and few projects if you've done, that should help you. Just try to see if whatever project you've done or you are mentioning in your CV, have a end-to-end knowledge, right from what was the data, how it looked, what you did, why you did so, what were your performance metrics that you were checking, how did you check the consistency of the project, consistency of the model, if at all you've used any model in that. Just be clear with what you've done, then getting a job should be easy.
Yeah, I've tried. I want to add a point here. I would recommend that don't directly jump. Like, for example, if you are a software engineer and want to move your career or switch your career to a data science, I won't recommend to leave your job and start searching after for a data science job. That 100% definitely won't help you. Okay, so best thing to be in that to learn or to move your to change your career is like start implementing these skills or these knowledge in your current job. Like, for example, if I give you my background, like I was a web developer, okay, and I was always passionate about data science. So what I actually do is I fetch the data of the website visitors, okay, and on the basis of that I make different clustering models, segmentation models, and helping the sales team to target the right audience or right product, okay, for geographical marketing, you can say. And this is the basic, and this is the like point where I start thinking about switching my career to a data science. So it's always a good approach to start implementing a data science from the job you are currently doing. Okay, for the reason is like we on the third slide, I guess we show you that data science is the combination of three main skills. It's mathematics, computer science, and business knowledge. So you have an advantage there while working for your organization. Like you have a good business knowledge, industry knowledge for that particular domain. Okay, all you need to do is start implementing. Like you might have a computer knowledge as well. So you just need to implement or find a way to sharp or do additional work or doing a data science. So someone says like, why should you do extra work for the same money? But believe me, that will actually help you for the future perspective. So now, whenever you're giving an interview for data scientist, you won't be considered as a fresh employee. Okay, You can say like, okay, yeah, you have this particular, you have done this project, data science project, while working for for your existing company. So now you are actually going or transferring your job with an experienced resume. So that's the best thing you can do to switch your job to data science.
We have anonymous asking a question. How is our resulting analysis presented to our clients? Is it a notebook enough, or does a proper present? Of course, it has to be a presentation, because the stakeholders, people who are handling the business, don't have any statistical knowledge. You cannot show them codes. You cannot show them, oh, this is my confusion matrix. He'll be like, what do you even mean by this? You have to make a proper presentation to sell your work.
You can't tell like you implemented a gradient descent algorithm by having a depth of 3 and post weight 3 and regularization of 0.2 with learning rate of 0.1, and that's the result you got. Like nobody gonna interest in your your technical skills, technical knowledge. All you need to do is you need to show the result in very layman terms, okay, in a business terms, so that they can understand and they can find the value of your work. Otherwise, they won't actually interested to even use or even try that.
Then we have another question from Shahir that says, BI tools have machine learning capabilities. Why use Python? If your BI tools can handle that big data and you can do from machine learning from those BI tools, nobody's asking you to use Python. It's perfectly fine. You can go ahead with any tool you are comfortable with.
Yeah, but there's very limitation, like very limited algos that you can use from BI tools. Like for example, in Tableau, you can
I think do forecasting. Forecasting and clustering is what I am aware of. Yeah.
Right, but you can't do classification problem. You can't do multi-class problem. So there's very limited.
If your work gets solved with BI tools, you are more than free to use BI tools rather than going for Python. It is just about the company you are working for and then your comfort level. As long as you're doing the work, doesn't matter you're doing in Excel or you're doing in SAS or you're doing in Python. In the end, what matters is the work that needs to be done.
True.
Then we have another question from Danish Hafiz. I am enrolled in a data scientist with Python data camp. I'm a fresh graduate of computer engineering from Air University, Pakistan, with final year project on acceleration of AI algorithm. I am applying to data science jobs in Pakistan, but didn't got any. Can you guide me? How can I achieve the needs of the company to get hired? Thank you.
This is the answer. Interview a lot.
Google about the company you are applying for, see what skills are they looking for, and once you're sending your CV, make sure that you are adding those keywords that they're hiring for. So what mistake most of us do, I also learned it over the period of time, is we do classification, we do modeling, we do predictive analytics, we do machine learning, k-means and all that. Just mention in your CV those pointers so that your CV is it is visible on your CV, and the person recruiting, the recruiter, does not have to make much efforts. He can see, yeah, you've worked on all these things. But since you are a fresher, you are a fresh graduate, I am sorry, I didn't read that part. I forgot that part basically. I did read.
Try to get an internship in the field of data science. Like many telecom companies are now actually hiring a lot of entry-level data scientists internships. So definitely try to have some reference and try to get enrolled on their program.
Then we have another question from anonymous. For newbies, do you recommend MS in DS, so masters in data science, or just certification courses will work to enter this field?
Honestly, I'm not sure about if you can afford, like if you have a time, that I definitely recommend to have a master's degree. There's no question about it. I'm not sure what Sadaf, your thoughts on this, but I definitely recommend to have a master's degree. If you have a time, if you have resources.
If you have resources, you have everything available, good enough to do it. If you don't, then certifications can work. It all depends on the resources available for you. Is Power BI useful for data science? Power BI is a visualization tool which can help you present the results of data science, but primarily it's not the tool that will help you be a data scientist.
Yeah, again, it's like for descriptive analysis. Okay, what has happened that won't actually help you for the predictive analysis and what will happen questions.
Can you please guide me when to use data analysis, when to use machine learning, when to use data analytics? Like, how do we distinguish which tool should be used for a particular problem? So how do you distinguish when to use data analysis and when to use machine learning? Depends on what you are doing. If I tell you find the trend of maybe the growth trend for telecom industry in Pakistan, what is the growth rate of number of subscribers? You can do a normal data analysis and tell me. But if I tell you how many do you expect would be increasing in next year, do some predictive analytics and tell me how many customers I can increase, customer base I can increase by next year, then you need to do machine learning. And which tool is you can use whichever tool you are comfortable with.
And the most easy part is, you'll got to know the answer of this question from the problem statement that has been given to you by the client or by the stakeholder.
Next question is, okay, this we've done. I'm not sure. Imran asked, how can I get these slides? Maybe somebody from DICE can be better person to answer this question. Can these slides be shared with the attendees?
Yes,
I'm not
Imran,
sure.
you can drop a message at our Facebook page or email us on info@diceanalytics.pk.
Great.
For slides or recorded session.
Then we have, is there ever an edge case which you miss while developing ETL pipelines and pollutes the clean data set? How do you deal with that? Umair, please take this question.
I actually don't understand the question here.
Who was this one? Whosoever it is, please elaborate a little more on your question, then we can answer. What basic skill needed to become a data analyst? What do you need? The basics to be a data analyst. We can tell you what you need to be a data analyst. Wait.
Analytical thinking is like one thing that you should have. Again, SQL is another thing because you need to do a lot of exploratory analysis.
You need to be good with your PowerPoint. Maybe Tableau works good if you have Tableau, Power BI, Excel, SQL. That's all you need to be a data analyst. Next is Azam Rasool is asking scope of data science in Pakistan. Pakistan part is important. Where you answer this question? What is the scope of data science in Pakistan?
Yeah, future looking. If you talk about the jobs in Pakistan for data science, like future seems like very bright because previously only telecom companies are actually working in the data science domain and data science problem. But now actually even small companies, even banks and even financial industries are actually hiring a lot of data scientists. So there is a big issue in the demand and supply. There's a huge demand of data scientists, but the current, you can say the skill set won't match that particular need. So no doubt about it, like once you have enough knowledge, once you have enough skills, you'll definitely got a good job, especially in Pakistan. Because I've been from this, I have been working in Pakistan for like 7 and 8 years. I have a lot of friends working here and there. So
Umair can help with jobs in Pakistan, right? In at least in terms of connect.
You can drop me a message like on LinkedIn. I'll definitely, if there is any opening or any vacancy, then I definitely refer you.
Anam asks, is being expert in MS Excel will help in learning Python in our language?
Yes, yes.
To a certain extent, not really.
But I believe it's a basic tool. You need to be good with Excel and Word and PowerPoint.
She's asking if an expert, somebody who's an expert in Excel, will it be helpful for him to learn Python and R? Will help in learning Python and R? See, these are Python and R are coding languages. In Excel, you hardly code. You write a very simple formulas. Maximum you write nested ifs. So it's all inbuilt. Whereas in Python, if you have to do that, you have to write all the formulas or formula or functions on your own. Could help you to a certain extent, but not very much. I mean, I don't think that really helps if you're an expert in MS Excel. Nobody can tell you can learn Python in 5 days. No, nothing like that.
Yeah, but actually you can map the concept of Excel in Python. There is a single library in a Python which is called pandas that actually do everything that you can do in Excel. Okay, so for example, you are making pivots, you are making lookups. All these stuff can be done in Python using that library, but definitely you need some practice, as you don't need to drag and drop. There's no option in Python to drag and drop. You need to write a proper code for that.
We have a question from Zishan that says, in Pakistani industry, how many organizations are developing or applying deep learning projects? Now, this is we'll answer. There are a lot of myths about deep data scientists. Deep learning, hardly few of them does it. Hardly.
Yeah, actually, that's
they're not saying. I think not even one of them would be doing. That's how we've never done anything on that deep learning, image processing, nothing like that.
Yeah, you need deep learning when you're dealing with the data like images, pictures, videos. That's the domain where you need to use deep learning. But at the start, many guys actually do this mistake. Like they start their career directly from the deep learning without any prior experience with data science. That actually, you can say, not a good approach, because there's some layer, like there's a lot of concepts in the data science that you should know before move to the deep learning. So there's like a spiral structure. First, you need to know the main concept of data science, put efficient time in doing practice, and once you are comfortable with your skills, like with you're confident, then move to deep learning. Like that's the main, I believe, that should be the aim for the participants who are looking for deep learning.
We have a question from Mahesh Kumar that says, is machine learning knowledge enough for data science, or should I learn DL2? What I am not sure what DL stands for. Umair, are you aware what DL stands
deep learning, for? Deep learning.
Oh, okay. Wow, fancy. I learned today. I think machine learning is good enough. You don't really need deep learning. I don't know, at least. Then we have another question from Iqbal that says, I am planning for a data scientist job in Gulf countries. What are your recommendations for the next year? Where am I looking for experience? You have ample amount of jobs here in at least UAE.
Yeah, a lot of jobs, but
we have Expo in UAE this year generating millions of jobs. You can try there. There is this person called Rohit who pinged a question in chat. He's asking why unsupervised algorithm is used in machine learning in modeling data science project. Can you unmute Rohit? What's his name? Rohit or Rahul? I forgot. Rohit. And he says, as I think supervised learning algorithm is more preferable as we will train the model. What is the rule? Okay, do you know the difference? I mean, why do you think supervised learning is better? This is a question for Rohit. If he wants, he can type the answer in chat and then we'll answer why supervised and unsupervised, what's the difference? But why do you think supervised will make more sense?
Yes, ma'am, I think yes, ma'am, I think that in supervised learning, we train the ML that we will give the data. We will train him that we will train the model that this is the data. This could be the prediction. So, so I didn't understand that what will be the role of unsupervised algo in this.
Okay, so you have to do segmentation. You have to divide your data into different parts. You don't need why. You don't have to predict anything. You just have to divide data into maybe 5 segments. what will you use for that? We use unsupervised learning in that cases, like your clustering.
And also, Rahul, I want to add up, Rohit, sorry. In many cases, there won't be a label given to you in the data. So in that particular case, you won't use supervised machine learning, right? So in that particular case, you need to make different segmentations, different clustering, and find the homogeneous behavior of a user.
Okay.
You got it? Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give you more easy way to understand. You've heard of credit cards, right?
Yes,
I have a data. My bank wants to know, should I be given a credit card or not? So there is a answer yes or no to this.
Yes.
If I have to do something like this, I will use a supervised learning because I have a Y, which is a yes or no, which will be dependent on my XYZ variables, which could be my credit history, my income, my qualification, my dependencies, right?
Okay.
But if my credit card wants to know, if people from a bank wants to know, divide people into 5 segments, that could help you identify. I want to give them a Visa card, I want to give them a MasterCard, I want to give them an Aura card, something like that. You don't have anything like आपके पास कुछ labels नहीं है उसमें. So what you do in that scenario? You do a clustering exercise where you target similar group of people. I want people with maybe similar income levels, people on higher income level as one side, lower income one side, mid income one side. Apart from that, I don't have any other parameters on which the income is dependent on. So for that, we will use unsupervised learning.
Right.
Okay.
So, Saroj, should we move to the slides now? We are actually getting short of time, I believe.
Yeah, it will be great. All those whose question we are not able to answer, you can mail these questions to DICE and then we can answer later on.
Right. So next we have the interview tip. So in interview state, like most of the interviews that are actually happening here is like, it's called like whiteboard coding problems. So what they actually do is once you are in the interview, so due to the COVID from situation, most of the actually interview are going to be online. So here you are given a certain problem that could be a coding question, that could be a SQL question, and they want you to solve the problem by writing the code. For example, HankerRank is a website where you can use this particular approach here. They actually give you the link of HackerRank, and you just need to click there. There's a data loaded on their databases, and then there's some questions or SQL queries that you need to write. Okay, so you need to be very much aware of these techniques before appearing to the interview. So you need to have a very good practice for the whiteboard coding, whiteboard SQL. Also the statistical questions.
There's a very standard question on stats that comes from what is the Bayesian theorem. So basically Bayesian theorem is nothing. It tells you the probability of event A given the B. Say suppose probability of you having a disease given you are an alcoholic person. So you have some prior information, you have some posterior information, then using this theorem, you predict probability. What is my chances of having some disease if I have these symptoms? So a very frequent question that's asked, especially for the fresher levels, since they don't have much experience in terms of hands-on in data science. So for them, there are questions like Bayesian theorem. Then you have few questions from econometrics, like what are the assumptions of OLS? What are linear regression assumptions, logistic assumptions, questions like that. Then you have machine learning, evaluation metrics. These are for freshers, very standard questions like what is your R square, difference between your R square and adjusted R square. Especially people from statistics or economics background would understand what I mean by R and adjusted R square. Basically, they are just an evaluation metrics to see how well my performance of the model is. So as you go more, you become the seasoned person, you become experienced, you will have practice of working on different algorithms, then you will be asked on different algorithm evaluation metrics. Umair, can we please move on to the next slide? So what you can do if you want to practice some of the algorithm, you can try random forest, gradient boosted, decision trees. That's what you can try. That helps you in predicting a class like a yes or a no, 0 or 1. You can find few projects on Kaggle and all, and you can start working on them. Next slide, Umar.
Yeah, and one of the best thing for using these decision-based method is because it's very easy to understand and very easy to communicate, because it gives you a physical representation that how your model works. Okay, for example, like giving you all the nested condition on the basis it actually predicting 1 or 0. So you can easily communicate your results, or you can easily convince your stakeholders while working for this algorithm.
You can do your whiteboard coding on, we've mentioned few HackerRank, then there's Interview Cake. Even W3 School, you can do for SQL and other platforms I'm not aware of on W3 School, but SQL you can practice there. Then there is Cracking the Coding Interview. Once we share the slides with you guys, you can have a look on these links and maybe that can be helpful. Next, Sumer. So this is SQL Zoo sample, how you practice your coding on SQL.
Yeah, so they basically load these data sets on their server, and they ask you question, for example, to fetch a certain customer belong to a certain region. So that actually gives you an actual problem, and you need to solve this, and you need to code this on that tool. So SQL Zoo is very good website to learn that language, that SQL language. But we definitely recommend you to go through this.
Yeah. This is your Bayesian theorem, which says probability of A given B, which is dependent on your B has occurred given A and then multiplied by your probability of A by B. I think this will be too confusing, and in the seeing the time right now, I think you can go through this Bayesian theorem. This is what I was saying when they ask you in, at least in the interviews. If at all you have any doubts, you can get in touch with either of us. We can help you explain better.
Right. And then we have the evaluation matrices, and that's also the most important question for the interviews. So before appealing to the interviews, you should know the evaluation matrices for the classification, for example, for the classification problem, for the unclassification problem. That actually evaluate that how well your model is actually performing. Right? So you need to know, and you should know the difference between precision and recall for the binary classification. You need to know what's the area under the curve, ROC curve, AUC curve, what's it says from the left, like how you represent the left, how you can trade off between recall and precision. And for the regression problem, you should know how you can evaluate what's the R1 score, absolute error, means absolute error. So all the terminologies you should know very well. Like these are one of the most important questions of interviews, as I said. So don't overburden yourself while working for data science. So there's some, you can say, the buzzword in the industry, which might confuse you as well as an entry level. Like, for example, you don't need to learn deep learning at the very start of your career, unless you need to deal with images data, videos data, or sound data, right?
It's hardly few companies work on this level of this level of data, this level of techniques in science. Majority 90% works on the normal stuff. Deep learning is not that something you should be worrying about. Same goes for Hadoop and Spark. This is for somebody who have huge big terabyte size of data. Mostly companies use normal SQL servers. That works fine for them.
Right.
Then you have recommender systems. Most companies don't need them. Advanced level NLP, nobody's going to ask you. You know the basics more than enough. Even
Yeah.
if you don't know the normal NLP basics, you know machine learning, that also works, at least for startups.
The other day, I was actually reading an article, and they say Hadoop popularity is starting to fade. Might be a bit because the companies are starting to realize that they don't actually need it. So these are actually the buzzword. So you don't get confused. Start with the very basics, learn the skills, be an expert of that particular domain, and then move in these advanced topics.
Next slide, I think.
Yeah. Here are
So,
some of the myths. Yeah. So.
Fact number one, most of the data science is fine-tuning the model to get highest performance possible. No, the reality is most of your time, your 80% of the time goes in cleaning and managing, cleaning and merging the data.
Exactly. And that's the case we are actually going through daily. Like we can't wait to start building the model.
Very easy. You just have to write a one-liner code. That's it. Your model is ready. But before you write that one-liner code, you have to prepare the data in such a way that that one-liner code will produce some output, some result. It's like garbage in, garbage out. If you give garbage data, you'll get the garbage results.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
your majority of the time goes in your cleaning the data, making it look, making it so at least some sensible stuff out of that data, and then that's what you pass on to your models. Fact number two, big data is everywhere. You will need Hadoop, Spark all the time. That's just a myth. Everybody will tell you. When you get those interview mails or some stuff, job hirings ho rahe hai, or whatever, they'll make big data, Hadoop. They don't even use that in real life. Most of them can be handled on a single machine. Your computer, your laptop works fine. So hardly people use big data. I mean, very few companies would be using.
Big industries, yeah, right.
Yeah. Deep learning solves everything. Other methods are obsolete. This is again a myth. You probably don't need it unless you are working on some images and want to maximize your performance. And working on images, a lot of industries, at least telecom industries and all, right now we're not using anywhere image processing and all, so nothing to worry about deep learning.
Even there is some problem of the you can say image classification problem, which you can even solve from data science by just converting the picture into a pixels and then use these data for the classification purpose. So even it's not like there's a deep learning to solve that problem. You can actually perform some transformation on the data, convert the data into the numbers, and then you can use this number to perform the data science task. So that's all from our end. So if you have any questions, then please keep posting us. We can even take, you can say 4 or 5 questions more, right, Sudhav?
Yeah, Umesh, sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah, so I was saying it was the end from our slide.
Yeah,
so we can take the
I
question
think
from
we
our
have run out of time. We are approximately 15 minutes ahead of the time. We really appreciate each and everyone's presence who've been kind enough to be there. Hope this helps you at least in some or the other way. Whatever questions, doubts you have, you can either get in touch with me, Umair, or anybody from DICE, and we will be more than happy to answer your queries.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's a great session with you all.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, DICE.
I think that's all about today's webinar. Thank you so much, Mr. Umair and Ms. Sadaf, for joining us today and conducting such an informative session. To all the attendees, you can email us for the recording or any queries regarding our trainings at info@diceanalytics.pk. Thank you so much. Goodbye.